Hello, sir.
Hello?
Hello, sir. Video off ആണ്.
വീഡിയോ ഓഫ് ചെയ്തിരുന്നാണ്.
ഓക്കെ സാറേ.
ഓക്കെ, റെഡി അല്ലേ?
ഓക്കെ, റെഡി.
Good morning, everyone. I'd like to welcome you all to the webinar, Cybercrimes in Banking Sector Today, Threats and Solutions, organized by Commerce Department of MES College Erumely. We have various streams like finance and taxation, computer application, marketing, office management, and all these branches created a good apprehension on the whole. Today, we have here with us our chief guest and resource person, Mr. Shibu K. Thomas, Joint General Manager and Chief Information Security Officer, South Indian Bank. My name is Principal of MES College Erumely, Mrs. Rama Devi A. IQAC Coordinator of MES College Erumely, Mrs. Shamla Begum, Mr. Santosh KK, Dr. Ashok Kumar, Mrs. Maya Mol, Mrs. Asha KM, various departments HODs, Midun M, Dr. Rajeshri, Faculty Coordinators, Dr. Ashok Kumar, MES Research Forum Coordinator, Jidesh KS, CDC Director, Sabjan Yusuf, IT Cell Director, Jace, Tansim, Jinish, and Anandu, Technical Directors, and above all, participants from all over the world. Let's start the program with a warm welcome by Dr. Rajeshwari, Faculty Coordinator of the webinar. Over to you, Madam.
Thank you, ma'am. Good morning to one and all. Hearty welcome to National Webinar on the topic Cyber Crimes in Banking Sector Today, Threats and Solutions. Myself, Dr. Rajeshwari R, Assistant Professor, PG Department of Commerce, MES College Erumely. Cyber crimes in banking sector, which is a controversial and much prioritized topic in our society. Jay Johnson once said that cybersecurity is a shared responsibility and it boils down to this. In cybersecurity, the more systems we secure, the more secure we all are. By considering the threat of the cyber crimes in banking sector, we, the Commerce Department of MES College Erumely, invite you all to our national webinar on the above mentioned topic. In great honor and privilege to have our distinguished speaker of the day, Mr. Shibu K. Thomas, Joint General Manager and Chief Information Security Officer, South Indian Bank, in our midst. On behalf of MES family, I welcome you, sir, for this event. Now, we welcome our Honorable Principal, Professor Mahin Emin, sir, who is our pillar of strength and our backbone. On behalf of Commerce Department, we welcome you, sir, for this event. Now, we welcome our IQAC Coordinator, Director and Vice Principal, Mrs. Rama Devi, ma'am, for this event. I would like to welcome Mrs. Sheba Michael, Students Dean, Mr. Jidesh KS, CDC Director, and Dr. K. Ashok Kumar, Director of Research Forum, Mr. Midun M, Coordinator and National Webinar, and Mr. Santosh KK, Assistant Professor, Commerce Department to this event. Last but not least, I welcome all the participants from various parts of the country for this knowledgeable session. I hope you will have an interactive learning today. Thank you all. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Madam. May I request Mrs. Rama Devi, a IQAC Coordinator, to inaugurate this webinar.
Good morning, all. This is Rama Devi A, Vice Principal and IQAC Coordinator of MES College Erumely. Quality of education is the motto of IQAC of our college. Accordingly, we have a lot of activities related for maintaining the quality. IQAC is involved in matters that are relevant inside and outside the campus. As our college is situated in an economically marginalized area, we understand that we are duty-bound for social outreach programs. With this in mind, IQAC and Department of Commerce selected a topic which is relevant and useful to the public. Today's webinar is on cyber crimes in banking sectors today, threats and solutions. We are fortunate enough To have an expert like Mr. Shibu K. Thomas, Joint General Manager and Chief Information Security Officer of South Indian Bank, to deliver valuable information authentically about the topic. With immense pleasure, I inaugurate this webinar and hope this will be an useful session for all of you. Have a nice day. Thank you. Thank you all.
Thank you, Madam. May I request Dr. Ashok Kumar sir to introduce our resource person, Mr. Shibu K. Thomas, Joint General Manager, South Indian Bank, to all of us present here. Over to you, sir.
Good morning to one and all present here. Today, on behalf of the Department of Commerce and the MES College, I'm glad to introduce the resource person of this webinar, Mr. Shibu K. Thomas. Mr. Shibu K. Thomas is a Joint General Manager and Chief Information Security Officer of South Indian Bank. He has a versatile experience of over 25 years in the field of IT and security. And he have extension experience in implementing large IT infrastructure projects, information security projects, etc. And also bank cyber security team has won several awards from industry bodies under his leadership. We really proud of and we are honored by your presence on this webinar, sir. Over to you, Shiba Michael, ma'am.
Thank you, sir. Thank you, sir, for your information. Now we could start the presentation. I request all of you please cooperate with us. You may please ask your doubts or questions through chat box or comment box. And on behalf of MES College Erumely Management, IQAC Cell, IT Cell, and Commerce Department of MES College, I wholeheartedly invite Dr. Shibu sir for the presentation. Over to you, sir.
Thank you. Thank you all. I hope I'm audible. Good morning and welcome to the webinar. As introduced, I am Shibu Thomas. I'm extremely happy to be a part of this webinar. I think it's a wonderful initiative from MES College. I have to thank Principal Professor Maheen, Vice Principal Ramadevi, Mrs. Ramadevi, and all other faculty members who have provided this opportunity to me, number one, and also taken all efforts to ensure that this webinar is a success in the sense in terms of making all the arrangements, etc., etc. They've done a good amount of work, and I hope this session would be of great use to all the participants from different parts of India and different parts of the world itself. Yeah, coming to yes. So this, as you all know, the current the topic and today's topic is we are looking at cyber crimes in banking, financial, and financial service and insurance sectors. Basically, the BFI sector. We look at we are going to have a quick overview of in the limited time available. Probably in the next approximately around half an hour or 30 to 40 minutes, we would have a look or overview of the various threats and solutions facing the BFSI sector. Our today's agenda is divided into few sections. We'll have a quick look at various definitions and statistics related to cyber crimes, frauds, look at the cyber threats facing the industry, not only banking basically, or BFSI sector, banking and financial service insurance sector. These threats are generally common to a lot of other areas or industries also. We look at, we have a quick overview of, again, the defensive solutions which can be used to defend ourselves against these threats. We have a brief look at how industries are done, the legal aspects, and then, of course, we conclude. Hopefully, we'll have time for a Q&A session also. Yeah. So I'm quickly going to the, first of all, I'll start with a quick definition of cybersecurity. Here, what we need to look at is basically cybersecurity is basically protection of your digital or digital assets. We call them, you can call them data, information, etc. All these are existing in basically digital form. Nowadays, you know, everybody, all of us know that a large number of digital transactions take place in various forms. You send emails, you transact with bank over internet, such different types of activities on the digital world. You have mobile payments, so many things are there. So huge amount of digital data is generated every day all over the world, and this has to be protected because a lot of data is related to personal information. It may be financial information, etc. Now, three pillars which we need to look at quickly is the confidentiality, availability, and integrity of data information. These are the three pillars of security. A person A wants to send a secret information person B. Assume that person A wants to send a secret information person B. Now, these are the three areas, three things we need to ensure. One, the confidentiality should be ensured because person B should be sure that nobody else has seen it. This information is secret between A and B. So a person C or D should not see that. That is the confidentiality part. Number one. Number two, availability should ensure that the person B gets information and he gets in the time at the time he wants it. It should be available. That information, secret information, should be available to him. The third part is integrity, where the information or data originally sent by A should reach B in the exact form it was sent, so that there's no alteration in the data. These are the three pillars we need to we are focusing on in cybersecurity. Yeah. Now let us look at now, because the topic is on cybercrime. We also need to have a quick understanding of cybercrime. First, we all know about various crimes which happen in in our maybe state, in country, in all over the world. But cybercrime, the only difference here is basically it's an illegal activity as any other crime. But the one of the key things here is basically the availability or the dependency on a computer or a similar network device. Of course, there is another characteristic as mentioned there. Sometimes, unlike other crimes, cyber crimes sometimes happen when the victim and the perpetrator are thousands of miles apart also. So that further in the next slide, we will just look at little more detailed description here. Use Department of Justice has divided cybercrime into three categories. Crime number one, crime in which computing device is the target. Number two, computer is used as a weapon. And number three, computer may be used as accessory to crime. The examples are given where, but what we have to understand here is that many times the cyber crimes which happen, all the three of these activities happen in the same crime itself. Now I will give you a few statistics on what sort of security computer cyber frauds or computer frauds or security breaches happen all over the world. This is only a brief overview. Because it's a public seminar, I don't want to name any organization here. What we can see here is, you may be wondering why we are talking about, since I am from a bank, why are we talking about data here, records? It's like this. What we have to also understand is, data is the new oil now. Data is now, there's a cost to data. Your personal data can be sold for money. And similarly, financial data also can be misused. So the data which is illegally obtained as a part of cyber crime or cyber fraud can be sold, and money the person who sells can make money out of it. Of course, other than that, there are other cases in this slide. If you see where banks both inside India and outside India were attacked, and money was also lost or taken by hackers or fraudsters. Of course, we all know about it. Every day, sometimes, occasionally, or many times, we have seen in different on internet news, paper, etc. Different attempts being made, some successful, some not successful, etc. So this gives you these are when you talk about if you see this, the previous slide and this slide, that the amount of data the hackers are taking a lot of effort to ensure that they're trying make all effort to steal this data for financial gain generally. So now this having hopefully got an idea of what is the cybercrime, what is cyber security. Let us now look at what are the cyber threats which banks are facing. So here again, I want to clarify a little more on this. There are a class of frauds known as bank frauds, where truly speaking, they're not cyber crime. For example, I don't know how many of you have seen. There's a Tamil film called Kannum Konnalayidal, starring Dulquer Salmaan. In English, it means stolen glances. There, if my memory is right, I think he was ordering, the hero was ordering laptops from his e-commerce site. He used to remove the parts and sell it and send it back to the e-commerce company saying that laptop was not working, etc., etc. So, but then, truly speaking, is it a cyber crime? It's not, because the computer is only a proceeds of a crime. It's not being used in the earlier, as I defined earlier. It's not really being utilized for that purpose. In the sense, it is only part of the action of that criminal action. It was only a tool there, not tool. I would say basically an item being used, to be more precise. But however, if you see the second, the example given there, if a hacker is obtaining unauthorized access to computer records of a savings bank account in a bank, he alters it using the bugs or flaws in computer software itself, then obtains money fraudulently for gain, it is definitely a cyber crime. Similar to this, one example we can say is, for example, some other countries, there is a system called SWIFT, which was SWIFT is actually the full form of SWIFT is Society for Worldwide Interbank Financial Telecommunications. That is a mechanism being used by banks to send money across countries, from one country to another. And there were frauds where the SWIFT system was not compromised or attacked. The SWIFT system was connected to some other systems which were, unauthorizedly accessed by hackers, and SWIFT system was used to send money to steal money. Actually, if you see the previous slide where I was talking about, this was one example of that. I mentioned in the previous slide where I listed out some set of frauds. Both data and money. I think around they were targeting a large amount, but they didn't get the whole amount, whatever be the reasons. So so this is where, since large amounts are involved, this is what is motivating the hackers to indulge in this sort of crimes. Now, okay. Now we will examine in a little more detail what sort of crimes and frauds or threats happen. This is, if you see the first 2 points, bank fraud, electronic channel fraud, these are specifically related to banks, but other frauds down, may not be restricted to banks or financial institutions. It can happen to anybody, any institution, any organization. It can happen. A quick example we can take where, for example, if you see the second last point is malware. Malware, there is a mention of ransomware. One example of ransomware, sometime before, 1 or 2 to 3 years before, there was a famous ransomware called WannaCry. The WannaCry was used to actually code or encode the data owned by or part of the organization data. This malware, malicious software, was used by hackers to encode it. Then they demanded money to decode and give it back to you. You could not do anything with that. So similarly, recently there was an attack of a ransomware called MES. During this COVID time, a lot of companies, organizations in the US got attacked, and their data was basically data residing in the computer was completely encoded, and nobody could decode it or unencrypt it, because it was with a very powerful, code they had done it. So then they were demanding, they were giving through 2 threats actually. They threatened to, destroy the data. Not only that, they threatened to even publish data. They had copied this data and also encrypted it, so that the organizations were put into double pressure, I would say. That one was the pressure of data getting leaked out onto internet. Another was the pressure of not being able to function itself, because computers, you switch on, now there will be a message coming on the screen that your computer data is encrypted. You want to decrypt it or unencode it or free it, you need to give us money. So that is a sort of, again, there is one word about dark web there. Dark web is basically the area of internet where you cannot really search it by search engines like Google. There are a lot of crime, cyber crime, which happens originates from the dark web. That's why I specifically mentioned here. You normal Google using Google search or something like that, you cannot. There are other mechanisms required to search this dark web area. A lot of criminals, even a lot of malicious software, they sell it there. Stolen data, they sell it there. Even it's said that even guns also and all sort of other criminal activities happen there. Of course, you all know about, probably would have heard of viruses and all that, which has been there for some time. And of course, the APT, the mentioned word APT, or the short form of the APT word means advanced persistent threat. That is another serious threat which is targeting banks and other organizations, wherein the fraudsters or hackers introduce malicious software and they stay in the network of the organization for a very long time, trying to understand what are the weaknesses and trying to take data or do some financial transaction. The details about that I will be giving in the later slides. Okay, now we have to also be careful about social media, what we are posting there and all that, because see, many times what happens is a lot of information, basically this is more to do with individuals, not organizations. A lot of information gets posted on your social media accounts, different areas, and this is used by fraudsters. Also watch for this. This is used against you later. You may not know in which way, but it will be used against you when you do publish a lot of personal, maybe your mobile number or email ID or whatever it is, or even where you're traveling, going, all those things actually would probably put you at a certain amount of risk when you publicly when you publish it through some media or other. Yeah. Now coming to again more details on the we'll go little more in detail into the different various different or various types of threats. This phishing is another threat which is very prevalent in today's world, or entire world. I would not say nothing to do with India or in US, Europe, Asia, every country. This is there. Here it is. I will give in the coming slide. I will give an example of that. This is more technically called business email compromise. The details of that I'll give you in the next slide. So varieties of phishing is through SMS it comes. It's called smishing. Whaling is the type of phishing mail which is targeting top executives of an organization. Spear phishing targets a specific group of people. There is also a variety of phishing known as website phishing, where a fraudulent website is set up by the fraudster or hacker to extract your data, to convince you to enter your data, and they take the data from you. Phishing is another form of fraud where they call you, stating that you may be calling they inform you that they're, for example, they post themselves as if they're a bank manager, saying that, hello, I am so and so from so and so bank. You need to, your account is in a problem, so you need to share with us your ATM pin or some password, username, etc., etc. That sort of calls come. I don't know how many of you remember. Some of you might have read in paper. There was a place in North India called Jamtara, and this place they had a lot of such call centers which are focused only on phishing calls. In fact, on Netflix, I think they in fact had a serial itself, web serial on Jamtara's, on this story of Jamtara. See this slide, you look carefully. This is an example of a phishing mail. The top red circle, you see, it is supposed to be coming from a prominent e-commerce vendor. Inside the red circle, if you look carefully, after the email ID generally is your name at so-and-so.com or something like that, generally will be there. Or so that instead of that, see what they would given there is some management something at the rate MES Canada at .ca. Now actually the word should have been, for example, if it is coming from e-commerce company like Amazon, it should have been Amazon. Instead of that, one letter is missing here. And again, that is a mark of a fraudulent mail, because it will be purporting or acting at acts, and the mail looks as if it is coming from a genuine party, but something important will be missing there. So this indicates that it does not come from the e-commerce company, it has come from somewhere else. Because but you may be because since it is a public webinar, actually the original mail had a lot of logos and all, which I have removed. You see some white circles there. I have just removed those names, blanked out those names, because it's a public webinar. I don't want to refer to any company. But the point is a sample mail, by the way. But the point here is that if you see number one, the email ID will have some mistake or error. That's one thing which you need to be carefully noticing. Number one. Number two, usually these phishing emails have links. The link, the important thing is that on the surface, link will look fine. Link will look good. But you have to know, when you keep your mouse pointer over the link, you may see another link there, which again shows that that was a fraudulent, that is a fraudulent mail, because it is going to some other place. It is not going to the place which is shown, or the link which is shown on the mail. It is going to some other link to a fraudster's fraudster's server location. Yeah. Similarly, if you go to, again, looking at various other types of cyber crimes, see, banks have got what is called as channels. The channels are example of channel one. A lot of you everybody would have seen ATM machines. Some of you might have internet banking accounts. Some of you may be using mobile banking accounts, etc., or mobile banking facility. So all these things are fraudsters target, or hackers target this area, because, for example, ATM, they used to attach a machine to the near the slot where you put the card in the ATM, and they used to copy the card data. Camera used to be attached in some ATM in one corner of the ATM cabin. So from there, they used to take a photograph of the pin which you are entering. They used to clone these cards and then steal the money, because you get card duplicates available. A lot of things, skimmers, card duplicators, camera, all these are available on the internet. You can use that. But now in banking sector, since we are implementing what is called as anti-skimming and other technologies throughout India, RBI, Reserve Bank has told that it has to be implemented. All banks are doing it. The number of instances are coming down drastically. Similarly, internet banking, as I mentioned earlier, using phishing, or some way, they will try to steal your username, password, even OTP also. One-time password is used for transactions. This also can be stolen, and then they will enter your information in the internet banking website and try to transfer money. Similarly, mobile, what you have to be very careful is downloading of rogue applications or malicious applications from unknown sites. See, Google has got your Play Store, Apple has got their store. Other than that, do not download any unknown mobile applications from any site unless you are very, very sure. Preferably you should not do it, because both Google and Apple, what they do is they have some security checking mechanism. So they try their best to ensure that malicious applications are not displayed on their Play Store or App Store. But from third-party sites, do not download, because these are all capable of stealing your credentials from your mobile phone. When you do banking through mobile phone or mobile application, they steal, and then it's possible that you will lose your money. Yeah. This is also again other types of threats which we see. Spyware is again a type of software which can steal information. Again, adware is may not be too malicious. They track your habits to send you more ads. But as I mentioned earlier, virus and Trojan, we mentioned Trojan is a type of virus where it does not replicate, but it is dangerous because it transfers, tries to open a connection to the fraudster's system and tries to transfer data. Whereas keylogger, of course, is another software which captures whatever you type on your keyboard, it captures and sends it to the fraudster. So your passwords, usernames, and such identification for your banking site, internet banking site, or any such critical information can be stolen and used by hackers against you or to steal money. Incident threats is a different class of threat where any organization employee himself starts doing some cyber crime. We call it incident threats. It need not be cyber crime also. It's a particular type of category of crime. Now, I have been continuously using the word hacker, fraudster, etc. What are these people? So this is generally a simple definition. Throughout this presentation, I have tried to simplify most of the definitions so that it's easier for everybody to understand. So this person is capable of gaining an unauthorized access to your system. So whether you have different security or no security or some security, whatever it is, His idea is generally you are not, the key point here is you are not authorized somebody. So without authorization, he's getting into his intention maybe, what are his intentions? Generally, it may be malicious, but we will just look at the few types of hackers which are there. One is white hat hacker, where they are actually skilled individuals who break into systems to point out security flaws. Sometimes organizations employ them itself or use them to find out flaws in their system. Whereas a black hat hacker definitely is a person whose intentions are not good. He's a malicious person. He wants to do some damage to the system or steal money or some such malicious activity he wants to do. Activist is they're a class of people. They have some particular social or political ends. For that, they hack the systems. May not be necessarily to steal money or anything like that. The last category is extremely dangerous because these are people who are supported by countries. So the point is that you will never be able to catch them or do anything at all, simply because they are supported by country itself. So one country can use a hacker to attack another, to start a cyber warfare with another country. Even these people also may steal money, steal data. That's all possible. Yeah, here we'll have a quick look at the anatomy of an attack. As I was mentioning earlier, now various types of threats, everything. Now, finally, how do they all, how are all these threats and be used to attack our organization? It's not necessarily anything to do with bank or financial sector or insurance or anything like that. It can this attack can be happen to in your organization. This is a general a diagram which depicts it. Can a lot of variations are there. So first action is there is a activity called intelligence collection. As I mentioned, point number one or action number one is the hackers through, as I mentioned earlier, through social media, through they scan the network, scan the organization from outside using specific tools, using many methods. They collect data about the organization in all possible ways. Then what they, for example, we can take this. I was mentioning about phishing mail earlier. They send a phishing mail with a malware, malicious software attachment with, along with the mail. If an unsuspecting person or an individual or employee clicks on that mail or clicks on the link or even clicks on the malware attached, it can be link, it can be malware software attached as a part of it. It looks, the mail will look very routine, normal. For example, it may subject maybe income tax, something like that. It comes. Then what happens is either through the link or through the attached malware, this malware gets installed in your system, and then what it does is immediately tries to contact what is called as a CNC server, a command and control server, which is controlled by the hacker. There, from there, it starts downloading more malicious, more dangerous software, which is more powerful and capable of going around the network. You see the stage number 4, what is called as lateral movement. That is, it is moving across the network in an organization, searching for loopholes, searching for vulnerabilities, and then it is searching for data also. Then it establishes, finally, at some point, this process may take several months, in fact, but finally it finds some data. It may be financial data, it may be personal data, some interesting data, which is interesting for hacker, or the data which he wants. It found, once it finds it, starts sending information to a specific server maintained by the hacker, and then it starts transferring the data itself to the hacker. Or, as I mentioned earlier, MES ransomware or WannaCry. MES ransomware, for example, it used to take the data, then encrypt or code the data here, so that you cannot use the data. Your data is lost, as well as the data is encrypted here, so you simply cannot work. So that is a brief or a quick overview of that is how the attacks happen. This is a very simplified version. There are a lot of complexities and technology issues here, which I'm not going into detail due to lack of time. So we'll have a quick look at the defensive solutions. Various, these are not both technology and non-technology solutions I've just mentioned together. First is that all organizations, generally banks, insurance companies, financial organizations, have generally what is called as a regulator. So Reserve Bank of India is one regulator, is the regulator for a banking sector. SEBI, the Securities and Exchange Board of India, they will do regulation for the capital markets or the commodities market and the securities market, which is basically your share market and related related activities. IRD, Insurance Regulatory Development Authority, they are the regulators for insurance. These people, these organizations give directions. They are empowered by government. They give directions to their area or their sectors, all the organization, their sector, to follow guidelines, to follow highly secure practices, etc. From government side, we have Computer Emergency Response Team. CERT, that certain is an organization which is available in all countries. You have CERT US, CERT Australia, CERT, and CERT stands for CERT Computer Emergency Response Team India. It is under Ministry of Electronics Ministry. They issue directions after, if suppose an attack happens also, you're supposed to inform them. They continuously issue directions to all organizations throughout India to follow guidelines, give warnings about future attacks or potential attacks. Similarly, NCIAPC is the full form of NCIAPC is National Critical Information Infrastructure Protection Center. So that also is responsible for various critical sectors they have identified, like oil and gas, power, manufacturing, transport, financial sector, etc. This NCIAPC gives they are under organization called NTR, or National Technical Research Organization, and they also give directions to all the organizations to follow. They give guidelines, they give warning also for future attacks. A lot of such activities are carried out. Again, next point, SOC or security operations. This is maintained by large organizations, banks, etc. It's a particular group inside the bank. They are responsible for maintaining, protecting the bank from attacks, external attacks from hackers, etc. They have implemented a large number of security technical solutions to protect the bank. For example, firewall, data leakage, like that. There are a large number of technical solutions which are available to protect the bank. This is done by the Security Operations Center, and this center runs 24/7 to continuously monitor and track what is happening from inside and outside the bank. So next point, the other defense solution which we need to very clearly understand is we need to have internal controls. I will mention some controls in the next slide, upcoming slides. The audit. What is audit? The audit is basically you are doing an examination or a checking. How strong is your system? Is there any vulnerability? Is there any loophole in the system which can be exploited or used by hackers? As a part of that, there's something called Information Security Audit or IS audit, where we employ either internal teams or external teams are employed to check for loopholes, vulnerabilities, weaknesses in the system somewhere which can be utilized. Similarly, VAPT stands for Vulnerability Assessment or Penetration Testing. Again, this is another form of checking where they work almost like both VAPT and Red Team. These are different types of activities undertaken by either internally or externally by organizations to ensure that the organizations do not have loopholes when you see from outside, from internet. Because any organization today, as I mentioned earlier, for digital operations and such things, digital for internet banking, mobile banking, or digital transactions, you have to face the internet, or you are exposed on internet. So you need to ensure that you don't have any loopholes when hackers try to scan you, check you. You should not see any loopholes. For that, these teams or this group does that work to ensure that there is no such exposure. Similarly, employee training we have to do. We have protections in banking products. For example, my bank, Southern Bank, has got a facility in our Mirror Plus mobile app called eLock. With a single click of a button, you can lock your ATM accounts or interbanking, mobile, etc. Completely is locked. Even you cannot withdraw any money unless you unlock it. So it can completely lock. Similarly, customers also have to take precautions since, as you know, see, if, as I mentioned earlier, either through phishing, mail phishing, or some other means, under no circumstances you should part with your username, password, ATM pin, any such personal data to anybody outside. No, I repeat, I'm making very, very clear that bank will not ask for your such information. Under no circumstances, no bank is asking that. So if anybody is asking you for it, it is wrong. It is a fraudulent, or it's a hackster, or a person with malicious intent. Whatever be the issue, there are some things which you don't share with anybody. This is one of them: the username and password, ATM pins, or mobile and for MPins or mobile pins for mobile banking, etc., etc. These things should not be shared. We have to be extremely careful, otherwise we can fall into a trap very easily. Again, these are, as I mentioned, some controls which we used to use. Passwords, I will mention about passwords in the coming slide. Internet, when you access internet, you need to be careful. Do not visit unauthorized sites and malicious sites. We were extremely careful using internet, because see, there's a temptation to generally browse and click on this, that. You will end up by sometimes downloading some malware. Again, you ensure that your antivirus are all updated. Email also be very careful. Ensure that whenever you email, for example, people who persons who use Gmail. I don't know how many of you know this. Gmail has got something called two-factor authentication, where in addition to your password, you can enter you can get a one-time password or OTP over phone, or I think email is also possible. So that is the second factor. So in case, even if your password is compromised, without this factor you cannot log in. It's additional safety. It's a free facility given by Gmail. I encourage all of you to use it. If you're not using it, then again, this is part of control. When if there is anything which attack or incident happening, we need to report. Physical security, we have guards and many other facilities available. For organizations, ensure that all confidential paper and such things are not left on your table. Always use licensed software. Similarly, again, this is a very important point. Password. See, for us, many times what people do is, with respect to passwords, due to when they feel that it's difficult to remember and all that, so they try to keep very simple things. So as I mentioned earlier, if you recall, I had told earlier specifically, when you post on your social media and such things, by without even thinking, you may be giving out information which hacker will later use to find out about your password. Maybe somebody may be using short form his name or something like that. If it is Ramchandra Guha, if the person says, I'm just giving an example, RG, suppose you put RG123 as password, it's a simple password, it can be easily broken. Which is why we have mentioned there, you have a 10-digit mobile number which you remember easily, then why can't we remember a 10-digit password? Similarly, in the password, ensure that uppercase, capital A or capital letters, small letters, numbers, special characters are used. If you want further strength in the password, there is something called passphrase, where you use a set of words with a combination of number and capital letter, etc. It's a set of words. So, for example, weight in English is WAIT. Suppose you convert it into WA8 in numbers, WA in letters and 8 in number, it becomes weight, but it's in a different way. Similarly, PINA, for example, is an English word, PINAFORE. Now you change that to PINA 4, numerical 4. Similarly, you put together a few 4 or 5 words like that. That becomes a passphrase, because it's a fairly strong password. Again, wherever possible, as I mentioned earlier, Gmail or everywhere, interbanking and such areas, all banks have got 2 factors, where you get one-time password or mobile. So wherever possible, use 2-factor. This one of the critical things, most critical things, is about awareness. You ensure that not only you, whoever is listening, not only whoever is listening to me, not only you ensure that you convey these things to your family members, relatives, your colleagues, etc. Even you go to, I've not mentioned here, but I can give you a simple example. You go to an ATM. When you're entering the PIN, always cover your hand. It looks very childish, but it's a simple, very simple practice you need to do, so that whatever be the issue, as I mentioned earlier, there was a threat about ATM. I mentioned where ATM skimming, where I was mentioning about cameras being placed and password pins being stolen. Nowadays, it's not happening. It's happening only in a very limited way, but still, for safety purposes, just keep your hand. You suppose you're using your right hand for entering the pin, keep your left hand over your right hand, so that the pin is not seen. Whatever camera is there, it's not possible to see a pin and when being entered in the ATM when you keep your left hand over your right hand. Similarly, mails, be careful instead of blindly, checking, clicking and checking on every mail. Check whether it is really, is this really mail really meant for me? Is it something to do with me? Think twice also before clicking on any links, and say such practice, because generally in today's world now everything is fast. We want everything like a fast food, and then we, without looking left or right and without thinking twice, we start clicking on links and other things. You may end up in trouble later. And always practice this good security computing practice for example, for people who have been continuously online as a part of their work or as a part of their study. Be careful about what your work from home or study from home. Whenever you do check, for example, if you have got a Wi-Fi router with the broadband connection at home, call the service provider and ask him, force him to put strong passwords there, and use for wireless. There are wireless security. Use the maximum security in that Wi-Fi router or broadband modem, so that the data is encrypted and is protected. Because somebody standing outside your house can steal this data. If it is with sometimes the signal strength of that, or the signal of that Wi-Fi modem goes outside the house to a particular distance. So you never know. Somebody can, or even never do banking again from a public Wi-Fi location or an internet cafe, from airport or railway station or whatnot. Okay, now because of COVID, there may be restrictions, but generally I'm saying for future also, never do it from a public place, public Wi-Fi. Never use public Wi-Fi to access anything personal. You never know who's scanning. There are a lot of tools available which can be used to steal data. So again, I have this is a quick list of do's and more of do nots. Basically, these are all straightforward, simple things. I'm not going in detail in that because it's all self-explanatory. I will also we will have a quick look at here. Only what you would be careful is that USB, the stick or the USB stick or the dongle which you use. That be sure of this dongles you don't take from anywhere, and because you never know, some of sticks may contain virus or malware. And similarly, don't download anything which you do not know about. You never know, because see, a lot of free things come on internet. You never know what comes with that. There are too many technologies available to bundle all sort of malware in, I don't know, screensavers or PDFs or some graphical type of images or whatever. All sort of technologies available. So you cannot even imagine the variety of ways people have found out to ensure that malware comes into your system. There are too many ways actually. I'm almost at the end of my presentation. Here, organizations use, if there is an incident or an event happening. I'm sorry. What do we do? When we see something suspicious, we have got internal teams like inspection, vigilance, IS audit. These teams do investigation internally. We engage external auditors. It's any organization. This is nothing to do with banking. Everybody has to do this. Otherwise, you won't know what's happening. Again, cyber forensics is a specific area, like your forensic department in police who come to a crime scene when there's a crime. There is a cyber forensics team also which does investigation with the digital evidences and digital data which is lying around at the scene of a cyber crime. And that is basically it's inside a computer. Basically, there are a lot of data may be available which may point to what has happened. But it may even clue as to who is attacked. So this data is collected by the forensic team. They have got their own tools for analysis. Similarly, of course, police has got cyber cell, cyber police, and cyber dome for helping the public with any of their cyber incidents or cyber crimes which they face. Of course, the regulatory bodies and this board, whenever an attack happens, we have to inform them. That's a part of the official practice. Last, legally, if you are attacked, what is that you have as an individual or organization? Because Indian Penal Code and Criminal Procedure Code is there. That's a part of the law. I just mentioned one of the Penal Code 5 IPC 420 relates to cheating. So mostly when hacking happens, there is an element of cheating always there. Now coming to IT Act is also a rule. IT Act 2000 with a lot of amendments in 2000, I think 8, 2011, a lot of amendments were there. For example, you see Section 66 of IT Act deals with hacking basically. So you have got a lot of legal support also in case you want to, in case you are attacked, now you can go. It depends on the nature of attack, now whether how much of help is there. But since you are a victim, you can also undertake or talk to these people, these organizations who will be able to guide you further also. Of course, you have a lot of internet and Google. Google for a lot of facilities available, and a lot of data available also. I am quickly winding up. I'm concluding now. What do we do? We need strong internal controls, strong practices, good awareness, stringent laws, and proper training to handle this menace known as cybercrime. Thank you very much. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Thank you, sir, for your presentation. You have covered everything, all cyber crimes likely to happen and their solutions, sir. Thank you once again from the part of audience. And now I request Mr. Jidesh Kayas to convey the questions or doubts to you, sir. Over to you, Jidesh.
Thank you, Shiva ma'am. Good morning, sir. It's Jidesh, Director CDC.
Yes, good morning, Jidesh.
Okay,
Yes.
sir. We have some questions from our participants.
Yes, please.
Can I share with you?
Please, please. Go ahead.
Okay. Sir, how can reduce growth in cyber attacks? So
See, this is, I will put it this way, it's extremely, it's a very, very relevant question, but I'm sorry to say this, there's no single ready answer to that. As I conclude in my slide, we have to all work together because see, as long as information technology is there, attacks will be there. Let me be very, very clear. Attacks, in fact, do not reduce. If you see the statistics, and I didn't want to trouble you or bore you with a lot of statistics, so I didn't put that in my slide. But you can Google for it. I mean, attacks are basically increasing. Basically, if you see during COVID time, numbers have gone up drastically. Because there are malicious people always outside. There are a lot of good people, definitely, but this cannot be. We need to protect ourselves. Simple bottom line, simple message I want to say is take all precautions either as an organization or as an individual to protect yourself. That is the only way out of this. There is no other simple, straightforward solution. Yeah, please.
Sir, you mentioned earlier using of Wi-Fi in public places. It causes some hacking. Sir, in emergency cases, if a man using this type of Wi-Fi, then what are the measures taken to
you have to okay, now see that a part of that is actually a different topic, but it's Wi-Fi itself. There are secure practices. So you have to ensure that to the extent possible, if you have an emergency in a public place, you want to do some. I'm talking about basically financial transactions, and so if you want to, you are in a public place for whatever be the reasons. If you want to do something, what I advise is after you do that, immediately change all your passwords, whatever you used. Because you cannot, it's difficult to change usernames and all that, but at least you can definitely change passwords and whatever that critical information which you to protect your account, basically internet banking account. Basically, passwords are there because you have one-time passwords which keep changing, so there's no problem. But you change your password so that in case it is taken also immediately before anybody does anything, immediately after transfer, immediately change the password. That is a straightforward answer I can give to you. Because that would be that is the only way. In case that I will again request try to avoid. But if you are in real emergency, do this. Immediately change the password.
Okay. Thank you, sir. The next question is I want to ask if due to the account got freeze, how much time it will take by a bank to investigate the case of unfreeze the account? Suppose.
Okay, that is okay. Okay, that's nothing to do with this, but okay. It depends on the. It's very difficult to say give a single answer because you have to call the bank's call center. Find. I mean, what has happened based on what has happened. It depends on what specifically has happened to your account. It's very difficult to give a straightforward, I mean, a single time or the sense we will within 2 hours, within 1 day, within 2 days. I'm not in a position to give that because first of all, it may differ from bank to bank. There may be some slight variations, it's quite possible, or it may be depending on what exactly has happened to your account. But generally, you need to follow up with your bank's call center, whichever bank you are banking with, and so they'll give you a correct picture of what has happened. And they generally, as a standing rule, I can say that we try our best to release it as early as possible to you. But sometimes what happens, one bank may send a message to another bank because of some fraud or some issue that this account has to be frozen because of some particular reason. So then the other bank has to inform us that the next other bank, the bank A can send a message to bank B asking bank B to freeze some account because of some fraud or some issue. Then bank A has to inform bank B to release it. Then only bank B can release. That's why I told you a fixed time frame cannot be told.
Okay.
Yeah.
If a fraud happened, in case of if a fraud happened, then I had to inform to my bank. Then the bank takes necessary actions. Then the next step is to inform to our police.
Yes,
then
it's basically, for example, as a customer or something, for example, for through mobile app or some way, or example, by mistake you shared your credentials, somebody took the money or ATM card or whatever it is, whichever way if you lost money, immediately two things you have to do. You have to inform the bank definitely to freeze your account so that further money is not lost. Number one. Number two, immediately contact the nearest police station. They will guide you as to where you have to file your complaint, so that FIR, what is called a first information report, that also has to be given to the bank so that bank can take further action. There are provisions available in now, so that under certain conditions it may be possible to get back your money also, but that depends on all the conditions. Now I'm not going to all the details of the different combinations and permutations available, but it is possible. But these two things you need to do: inform bank, inform police, get FIR. That is very important.
Okay, thank you, sir. The next question is related to IT Act. Do you think the existing IT Act is capable for preventing these frauds?
See, IT Act, if you, for example, the other day, I don't know whether any of you have seen, I don't know, maybe 1 or 2 days before in Mumbai, from Mumbai, there was a news that some site of particular bank or something was attacked, or some case was being filed for even though the police had filed case, if you see under Section 66 of IT Act also it was filed. So when the police files a case, they use sections of the IT Act to file the case to strengthen the case. But it may be that, see, there may be other, if you recollect in my slide, I have mentioned both Indian Penal Code and IT Act. So both together, one IT Act may enough by itself, it may not be enough, but along with Indian Penal Code or CRB, Criminal Procedure, Indian Penal Code, they use both acts together to file cases, so it becomes stronger.
Okay.
Yeah. Next question, please.
Okay. Last 5 years we are moving to digital money world. Then now majority of Indians are illiterate on digital transactions. So many mails and so many calls from call centers, like it's from bank or something. Then they earn some benefits, or they earn cashback offers from this company. Then some frauds are happen on this ways. So how can identify this type of frauds or calls from institutions?
As I mentioned earlier, in fact, this webinar itself was about that topic. As I told you earlier, you have got phishing calls. Basically, as I told you, most important thing, see, banks do not ask you for your credentials, for your username, password, PIN. We do not ask. So whoever is calling you, see, the hacker or the fraudster, what does he want from me? If he's planning to take money from you, he wants your credentials or your individual details, which is username, password, PIN, etc. All those things. Without that, he cannot do anything. So he has to steal it from, or take it from you some one way or other. He has to take it from you. But over no system, either through mobile phone or normal phone, which if you mail or whatever it is, you are not supposed to share any credential. That itself will save you from a lot of trouble. But then that is not the only thing. As I mentioned earlier, do not download unknown applications. Do not, when you're, for example, if you're doing a banking transaction, a simple tip I can give you: if you're doing a banking transaction through your mobile app, don't use that mobile app to download all mobile apps. You keep it separate only for banking transaction. Similarly, if possible, if you're doing for a PC, don't do riskier activities like browsing all over the internet. No, the same PC. You do not know what is going to land up in your PC. Use strong antivirus, good antivirus software. These are all individual things, but then that good security practice, a lot of things which I've already mentioned earlier, a lot of points I had mentioned earlier, you are more or less safe. That is the maximum we can do. See, the point is that you, as I mentioned earlier in the last slide, you have to protect yourself. All actions you need to take, as I mentioned in this webinar, you need to do. And of course, ensure that password also is not shared. Sufficiently strong passwords are also being used. Because many times what happens is, for example, you take Gmail, people use very weak passwords. It can be easily hacked, but you don't know. Hacker is not going to do anything with your email account. But the point is, he may use it for some other malicious activity. You don't even know. You will not even know about it, right? Okay. I think hopefully that answers the question. So then the key point here is you have to ensure good security, follow good security practices so that you are protected. Yeah.
Okay.
So
connected to this question, I want one more information. Sir, in your opinion, using mobile application or internet banking is more safe comparatively?
I would put it to see, it's both are safe, but then see, it is what how you do it is the important point.
Okay.
See, both these methods of these are what we call as channels. Interbank is through internet channel, other is through the mobile channel. That's all. Sufficient precautions and safety measures have been put in both channels. In nothing to do with only my bank, South Indian Bank. All banks have done that. But then what happens usually is that somewhere we make a mistake. It's not because of the reason is, as I told you, if you share your credentials and then for interbank, your interbank account is in problem. It's quite possible that, or your PC is having malware, as I mentioned earlier. For some reason, you browse somewhere, some malware came to your PC from the same PC you're doing internet banking. Then you can't blame internet banking for that. Your credits are lost. Similarly, mobile, if rogue apps or malicious apps are there in mobile, you will definitely you are at risk. Both channels we can use, but mobile is a little more convenient because you can, when you are moving itself, we can use it. Whenever whereas internet, you need to be static, you need to be somewhere. That is only, I think, key difference, I would say. Otherwise, all these channels are safe. Yeah.
Okay, sir. In some cases, majority in transactions we need OTP for
one-time password. Yes, yeah.
One-time password for credit card transaction or debit card transactions.
True,
but
true,
in some cases, OTP is not required, or the machine asks the OTP. Then what we do for OTP?
I see. To my knowledge, India, I think it is a standard thing. I don't think in India we have an issue with no OTP. OTP is it is a compulsory thing. But outside India, certain countries, for certain level of amount, what I mean to say is, up to a certain amount, they may not use OTP. So then you have to be extremely careful, because, but then your loss will be limited to that amount. But then you need to be very careful with your user. As I told you again, you avoid using public Wi-Fi. Ensure be careful about your username, password, not sharing it, etc. You need to be extremely careful. That's because there's no. If you have a second factor, OTP is called, as I mentioned earlier, second factor. If you do not have a second factor, you are at a certain point. You have a certain amount of risk. That is there. That cannot be reduced much. But then you need, again, as I told you, you need to take care by ensuring that you don't share these credentials, don't share passwords, usernames, and ensure that you are doing the transaction from a safe location, from a safe device, like mobile or PC or whatever it is. That is the only way we can safeguard ourselves. Yeah.
Okay. Thank you, sir. The next question is related to, say, any career opportunities related to this cyber crime reduction areas.
So actually, I would not say cyber crime, cyber security. Cyber security is one of the hottest areas. There's absolutely no doubt about it. I would put it this way: as long as information technology is there, cyber security also will be there. If and when information technology closes, then only cyber security will close. So the opportunity will close. So opportunities are there. One more thing, most important thing is that there is a huge lack or dearth of skilled cyber security people in the professionals in the field itself. Not only in India, entire world. There is a large demand for such people in different. There are a lot of different posts and different functionalities, different job requirements are there. Cyber security is a vast field. A lot of different jobs are available, and of course, but the thing is, you need to be skilled, you need to have sufficient training, and you need to have sufficient experience also. But you can start somewhere. There are a lot of certifications available for that. You can get that, and then once you get into a job, then you can get sufficient experience and move on. Absolutely no doubt about it. There is a huge opportunity there.
Okay, thank you, sir. Thank you for your valuable information related to all. Thanks for all the participants and raised questions here. Thank you. Or to Shibama.
Okay, thank you, Videsh, for conveying questions. Thank you, sir. Thank you, Shibu, sir, from the part of audience. And shall we wind up, sir? And for a formal vote of thanks, I once again invite Mr. Jidesh K.S., CDC Director. Over to you, sir.
Good afternoon, everyone. It is really great that this national webinar turned out to be a very successful. I am Jidesh, Director CDC. I am here to present a vote of thanks to the people who made this event successful. I would like to take a minute and thanks all of them. First of all, I would like to thank respected resource person, Mr. Shibu K. Thomas, Joint General Manager, Chief Information Security Officer, South Indian Bank, for shared his precious knowledge with all of us. I personally like how Shibu sir highlighted the cyber security and cyber crimes happening in the banking sector and its solutions. This is very useful for common men. This is really intelligent and thankful. Thank you, sir. I also want to thanks our principal Mahinaman sir for taking efforts to make the national webinar possible. This event would not have been successful without a teamwork. A team consisting of IQSC, IT Cell and Research Forum helps MES Collage Erumely for organizing 10th webinar and make it as a grand success. I thank and I would like to appreciate the effort from the part of IQSC coordinator and vice principal Mrs. Rama Devi Madam for organizing webinars. Also appreciate IQSC team members for your unextended support. It is not possible to explain the word of the hard work behind the webinar, the major effort contributed by our IT cell. I express gratitude towards Mr. Sabjan Yusuf, IT cell director, and his teammates, Mr. Tanseem, Mr. Jinesh, and the faculties, Anandu and Jay sir. Another specially mentioned name, Dr. Ashok Kumar sir, Director Research Forum and HOD Computer Science, BCom Computer Science. He serves to as intellectual and motivational support. I express deep gratitude towards the Department of Commerce and appreciate the efforts invested for its success. I wish to reveal the key persons of Commerce Department who ever behind the programs: Shamla Begum Madam, Maya Miss, Asha Madam, Santosh Sir, Dr. Rajeshwari, Midun, Faculty Coordinator, and Mr. Harikrishnan, Student Coordinator. Also, I thank all the faculties contributed efforts made it success. Last but not least, I thank all the participants from various institutions across the country and abroad for your cooperation and made this event successful completion. We feel proud and thank you for making us feel happy your presence in this webinar. Once again, thank you very much to all who joined here. Thank you. Jai Hind.
Okay, sir. Shall we wind up, sir? Okay, sir.
Okay.